course by people saying that what you're saying is going to be basically attacked as non-prescriptive, therefore non-objective, not reality, subjective. So to me, it seems counterintuitive that a person can at the same time reject the possibility of some meaning for our lives that we haven't determined yet, and basically the pursuit of that knowledge.
No. I don't reject that though. I say that exists, and you can approximate something objective in your subjective construct of meaning. You can align your subjective construct of meaning with the world, but at no point does it transcend you.
Sure, fine, but to me the problem is that for a person to engage in a conversation or to try to convince somebody of anything,
sure,
right? Was one of the presuppositions is the idea that they prefer knowledge, they prefer something that's profound, the pursuit of something profound. If they don't, then there's no point talking to them. Like there's no conversation with them. They're just a biological construct that breeds and eats.
Sure.
And this is why if you do have a pursuit of the profound, then everything gets pulled up by that pursuit. There's a lot of like things that flow out of that as necessities.
Yes.
And they approach again. So to me, they seem to approach the status of objectivity, as you said.
Oh, yeah, but yes. It seems like it's convergence, though. It's not actually.
Fine.
Yeah.
No, fine. It's convergence. Let's come to that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
But to me, the reason why I like this thought is because to me it absolutely demolishes any type of nihilistic and depressive thinking about.
Dude, I definitely agree. I shit on all the nihilists on this server, dude.
But the other thing is, it's very it's important to note the other people that I believe that it destroys are people that argue for morality or philosophy based on well-being, because to them, I don't believe that they have an answer for a Matrix-like situation where everybody's life is sustained and they're kept in a nice little cozy world where everything is like Groundhog Day. They're perpetually happy. They're in heaven.
I have a much better framework than well-being. Well-being is a flaw of morality. It's not the ceiling.
Yeah, I believe so. It's like you need well-being to because before you have that, then you're worried about survival. But when you're worried about survival, you're basically an animal. You're playing to win in every single case. You're like killing things to survive and so on and so forth. But as soon as but humanity has long surpassed that. Like we overproduce most of the things that we need. We're over secure. But I don't believe that and I've had a conversation with somebody who said because he was worried and he is worried that because we're no longer animals and no longer participate. In a sense, we're no longer like normal animals, and we don't participate in genetic selection. Then we're like lost. That we're never going to improve. We're going to just degenerate.
I'm pretty sure we do participate in genetic selection. It's just different now, right? Although there's a good argument to be made that there's a compromised state of nature. Although again, I feel like the best counter argument to that is just like, who's to say what the extent of nature is? This all seems perfectly natural to me.
No, my answer is different. I think that to hell with random and survival-based genetic evolution. We have better now. We have the survival of cultures. That is more important.
We also have sorry.
We're like a unified. We're no longer like an individual and his tribe surviving against other tribes. We're propagating a culture through time where we're, in a sense, it's a very collectivist. The culture is a collectivist idea where we're one body that propagates through time, and the successful cultures are going to be the ones that survive in perpetuity because they're going to be the most stable. So
No, I definitely agree. Although I would say that, like, just with regards to the mechanism for that, we still do have the genetic variation selection. It's just that we've changed from physical dominance to intellectual dominance, or in some cases, financial dominance. But even then, there's a strong link between life success and IQ. I think it's 0.7 or 0.8, the correlation between the two. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly like there's no evolutionary selection going on. It's just sort of...
yes, but the reason why that person is confirmed is concerned is because of the idiosyncrasy, kind of like that film scenario where currently success does not mean procreation. In fact, it's like it's not proportional. Intellectual ability is strongly correlates to becoming successful, like financially, in terms of power in society. But it's inversely proportional almost, or feels like inversely proportional to the amount of children you have. Versus versus like people who are not successful who instead survive because they have many children.
I think there's more to it than that as well, though. I think that part of it is that people who are less successful have less personal fulfillment in their life, and then they want to fulfill themselves more by, let's say, extending their life force through their kids.
To live vicariously.
I think I think that the reason why the reproduction rates among intellectuals and among all of the like advanced societies are dropping is not necessarily because I see it as a sort of sickness, as like a birth defect of this new sort of morality that emerged, and I see that it's going to be shaken off, like you recover from a disease. It's a mental virus that's going to be recovered from naturally, because people who suffer it are going to end their own culture's existence. And the people who will go on are the people who do find meaning and are intellectual and have lots of children at the same time. That's my answer to that concern.
Hey guys, I'm back. What's up?
Hello.
I feel hurt.
Rip.
Hello.
What's cracking?
Whoever that was, I don't know who you were. I think you were bottom lineism, but that's pretty cool. How are you?
What's up? What do you guys believe in?
Not
Apparently
using ASMR techniques.
Apparently a lot now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was talking to this dude, Clem, not you.
Oh, well,
Although you could be held accountable for the same fucking goddamn crimes.
what? Bro, I have no ASMR voice. That's a lie.
Oh god, it's not about the voice.
I
It's
know
about
you. Yeah, but he sounds like Smurfette. That's what he's trying to say.
Oh, fuck you.
There are some parts of since there's I guess I'll insert more Lao Tse because I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, me too.
Some parts of Lao Tse I don't like, and I'm going to post one of them, and it's a very, very common theme in Eastern philosophy you will all recognize. So actually, I'll just repeat it. It's the knowing. It's number 47,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes like
gonna
this.
post it?
Everything is in Tavern text chat, but I'll just quote. Without taking a step outdoors, you know the whole world. Without taking a peep out the window, you know the color of the sky. The more you experience, the less you know. The sage wanders without knowing, sees without looking, accomplishes without acting.
That rubs me the wrong way as well, to be honest.
Yes.
One
It's
can
so
make a
easy.
sex joke out of that.
It's such an Eastern thing. It's like the core of many of their philosophies.
What about
What is
what
the
about
problem
the-
with it?
what about the contradiction is the signature of truth theme? I don't like that one.
Where is that?
Oh, it's just a lot. It's not specifically in that, but it's in a lot of Eastern philosophies. It's like the affirmation of contradiction as a central thesis of truth. It like pops up a lot in like philosophical poetry and stuff like that.
No, but again, I can give a charitable, or for me, interpretation of this. What he talks about knowing is not about experiencing. He's talking about actually what we're doing now, about philosophy. We're not looking outside. We're not looking at the window, but we know the color of the sky because we can imagine it out of our prior understanding. And in a sense, the more we get distracted by just experiences, the less we think about what we're actually doing. And to a point, I think this is the contradiction in the text is the text is not a ritual. It's not prescriptive. So every aspect of it is right for some period in your life or some maybe hour of the day, if you want to use it as a prescription. If you want to do that, then you have to admit that nothing is not according to him, nothing can be constructed to be true. And you can't just follow the way as a ritual, which makes Taoism as a religion a very weird thing to be.
No, yeah, I feel like I understood that. I was just pointing out a different theme that I dislike from Eastern philosophers.
Yeah. I'm going to try and find that here, but I don't think it is.
I don't think it's definitely not in that passage. I'm not sure if it's in...
No, maybe other passages I'm looking for.
Fair enough.
This is an interesting one. I like this. It tickles my brain. I forgot the quotations. Difficult paths. Maybe you can read it.
Did you want me to read it out?
Sure. My throat hurts.
With but a small understanding, one may follow the way like a main road, fearing only to leave it. Following a main road is easy, yet people delight in difficult paths. When palaces are kept up, fields are left to weeds, and granaries empty, wearing fine clothes, bearing sharp swords, glutting with food and drink, hoarding wealth and possessions. These are the ways of theft, and far from the way.
Oh, I think I actually don't like that he did that. I think those are almost the first one was. First paragraph was interesting. The second one was basically quite.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Second one was just don't indulge your vices.
So the vices are the difficult paths, but yeah, that's the thing with Lao Tse. In some sense, he advocates for you to be a bum and never achieve anything.
Yeah, that's what I see in the knowing one as well a little bit. It's it's that sort of
one. I found the one that you definitely hate. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Oh, it's so good. So good. I was just gonna say it's rings of that. Sit in a cave for 20 years thinking about the world and never actually educate yourself about anything.
Here's one that's directly aimed at you, Insync. That's actually why when you tell me things, I generally I'm super skeptical, especially when you're sound.
Interesting.
This one, how about you read that one? The impartiality one.
I feel personally attacked right now, Tenet.
Really? It's that annoying?
Nah, it was just a joke. But it is pretty good. I like it. It's an interesting commentary on. I guess I have a bit of difficulty understanding that approach, but it does illuminate a little bit.
No, so yeah, the idea who understands does not preach, who preaches does not understand. Reserve your judgments and words, smooth differences, forgive disagreements, dull your wit and simplify your purpose, accept the world. The thing is, it basically tells us that what we're doing right now is also a difficult path in a sort of way, because when you come in and you confront, or when you debate people on the debate server, you're basically preaching. And in a sense, as you're doing that, you're minimizing the amount of information that you receive and the understanding that you can have. You're more focused on winning the debate than to gaining new insight. And
maybe.
And preaching specifically means it's not preaching is not teaching, basically. Preaching is something very specific.
But I think part of teaching involves telling the other person when they're wrong, and it's difficult to distinguish that from preaching. But specifically, I think, like, what you would be talking about if that my goal were to win the argument would be sophistry, but my goal isn't to win the argument. My goal is, if I'm wrong, for you to win the argument so that I can be educated. And if the opposite is true, then the opposite should occur. And I think that, well, when I speak to you, Tennant, I actually learn a lot. Like, it's an interesting conversation. You're an intelligent guy, and I try to take on board the things you're saying because you know things that I don't. And in that way, even if I may be trying to persuade you on some things, I am persuaded by you on others. And I think that that's how conversations are supposed to work.
Yeah, of course, I understand. And this is the main reason why people come and talk.
For sure, yeah. And so I guess that's sort of like where I get the sort of
I think
misunderstanding.
What he's talking about is something different, I think. And this is maybe why I misunderstood it on first few readings. And like when I return to it, I keep forgetting this meaning. Maybe the meaning here is not what you're doing, is the attitude behind it. Preaching is specific attitude. Preaching is conversion. Yes. You're not looking to convert me. If you're looking to educate, then the best way to do that is not by, telling somebody this is true. It's actually the reverse of that. It's by making the person walk in your shoes in some ways, conforming yourself to him, and bringing him along on some story, and then the person kind of gets into that. Whereas where you make a judgment. And or you like throw around words, right? If you don't smooth disagreements, and if you don't forgive people's disagreeing with you initially, then you're going to just make enemies.
I definitely agree with that, and I think there's probably something to be said in the way that you respond occasionally when I firmly assert something, and that my strategy doesn't work properly for you, and maybe you'd prefer it if I ask more questions, right?
No, of course, but and this is not just me. He refers that's a natural defense. It's a natural defense for most people is when they hear an attack, they defend. When they hear aggression, they retreat. And so, this guy, the reason why it tells you to dull your wit and simplify your purpose and to accept the world isn't so that you can't teach or that you're a dimwit. That's not it. The wit is the sarcasm, the acidity.
Yes, I understand. Yes,
I can give you an example. There was a guy that I was debating yesterday, and I got really agitated because he was really dumb about something.
Yeah, I know.
And actually, because of that, I started kind of being very first acidic, then angry, and then insulting the guy. I haven't achieved anything by that. And I kind of regretted that. On one point, I don't really want to apologize for that because I believe that I have to apologize to myself. I have failed. I don't really feel any responsibility to the person that I was talking about.
Of course, I understand.
Because I don't like ignorance, so I don't like to apologize.
No, I understand.
But I do believe that I took an approach that was much less effective.
And no, but I definitely agree with that. I guess I look for the balance though, because this is something that I talked to Bridge about just the other day. Is I think that there's pretty clearly a certain class of interlocutor that when you're talking to them, being more assertive actually it's more effective. You know what I mean? Like some people it doesn't work on, and some people it sort of breaks through the thing that they're doing to defend themselves. Not necessarily getting aggressive at them or vitriolic, right? Not necessarily using your wit against them, but specifically being more aggressive can sometimes yield positive results, even though, as we said, it can also turn people away. Crickets.
I'm looking for I'm gonna fill the crickets. It's just an opportunity for me to post another paragraph to analyze.
Hells yeah.
You guys want to hear my anecdote about how life is suffering?
Yes.
I've been replaying Super Mario Galaxy, right? Eventually, I figure out that there's just one spot that with a certain item you can sort of get up
Mr.
to.
ASMR. Mouth a little further away from the microphone.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
You no
sorry.
longer have the
How's
item.
that?
You lost the item, and now
No,
you can't reach it.
no.
Go ahead.
So, I'm sorry, is that better, first of all?
Yes.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Okay, so I get up there, and so I get up there, and there's a pipe, right, to like another place, and there's all these rocks that roll around, right? And I notice there's like a mystery at the bottom, but I'm like, okay, I want to break these rocks, and there's like a very specific point where if you hit just that one point, it breaks the rocks, right? And so I go around, keep trying to break the rocks, but I keep dying, and then I keep having to go back and get the item, and then go back up to that spot, right? And it eventually keeps getting harder and harder to get up to that spot, and it's a real pain. And then I keep going there, and the times I get in, I keep dying, right? And eventually, after like half an hour, I get up and I go in, break all the rocks to hit that one spot, and I get to the mystery item, right? It's an invincibility star that would have let me break all the rocks by walking into them. And that was it.
I feel you. That hurts.
No, there are worse things in gaming.
I didn't understand any of that, so awesome.
There are definitely worse experiences.
Life is suffering, Ava.
I mean, I talk to you every day, Bridge. I am reminded of that. Don't worry.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Hey, I love that last one, dude. That's awesome. The individuality
I'm kidding, Bridge. Don't worry.
How about you read it?
one. My words are easy to understand, and my actions are easy to perform, yet no other can understand or perform them. My words have meaning, my actions have reason, yet these cannot be known, and I cannot be known. We are each unique, and therefore valuable. Though the sage wears coarse clothes, his heart is jade.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah.
It does call back some of the stuff we started talking about very, very early on
To be
in the
honest,
conversation.
I really like the accent shift when you guys are reading about these things.
Man, I just can't. Half of the time when you speak, I have no fucking clue what you're saying, and the other half, I think you have no clue what you're saying.
I have my clue what I'm saying. I mean, but
Yeah, for the... Oh, we stopped recording, but should probably attach, if you're going to publish that eventually, attach the link so people know what we're quoting from.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll write that down.
probably just
I suppose I should figure out that bot I said I was going to make.
Yeah, probably, boy. Alright. Probably get two videos out of that one, since we changed topics about halfway through.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, this one is... I kind of like the early ones, the early passages, because some of them are so abstract.
I don't think Train Gang liked that one.
Train Gang's trying to be the ultimate nihilist over here.
Bro, I'm so confused. This